Grandma tried to secretly blackmail me into paying rent while in high school. After my parents moved abroad with my siblings and left me behind for school, threatening to lock me out unless I paid her every month, so I told my parents everything, and now they're furious, forcing her to pay me back every dime and planning to move her into a nursing home since they've been covering her living costs. Sorry if this ends up long, but I need to explain the situation properly because it's been a complete mess for the last few months. I'm 17 and finishing high school. My parents moved abroad last year because of my dad's job and took my younger siblings with them. They wanted me to finish school here since I'm in my final year and my grades were really good, and the school I go to is one of the best in my city. They arranged for me to stay with my grandma, my dad's mom, and said they'd be sending her money every month to cover the bills, groceries, and anything I might need. I was meant to just focus on school and not worry about anything. At first, things were fine. My grandma has always been strict, but she seemed okay with me being there. I helped her around the house, cooked sometimes, and tried not to cause any problems. But after a few months, she started acting weird about small things. She'd complain about me leaving the lights on too long, how much water I used, what I ate, and even how late I stayed up to study. I brushed it off because she's old and set in her ways. Then one evening, she told me I needed to start paying rent. At first, I thought she was joking, but she was dead serious. She said living there wasn't free and that I should pay her every month for my share of the expenses. She mentioned a specific amount, around $3,000 in my currency, and said she wanted it by the end of the month. I told her my parents already sent her money for all of that, but she said that was between her and them, and that I still had to contribute if I wanted to stay there. I didn't know what to do. I don't have that kind of money lying around. I work part-time at a small cafe, but that money goes towards school stuff and transport. I tried telling her I couldn't afford to pay her anything, but she just got angry and started saying I'm ungrateful, that my parents spoiled me, and that it's time I learned responsibility. A few days later, she started threatening to lock me out if I didn't pay her something by the end of the week. She even told one of my teachers at school that I might be moving out soon because of financial issues. I was humiliated when my teacher asked if everything was okay at home. I started stressing out badly. I couldn't sleep properly because I kept worrying she'd actually lock me out. I tried doing extra shifts at work, but it still wouldn't cover what she was demanding. I even asked if she'd at least let me stay until exams were over, but she refused to talk about it. I could tell she enjoyed seeing me panic. She'd make comments about how nobody appreciates her and how people think old women can be taken advantage of. It started feeling like she wanted to punish me for something I didn't even do. Eventually, I decided I wasn't going to keep quiet anymore. My parents always said if anything went wrong, I should call them, so I sent them screenshots of her messages, a photo of the note she wrote demanding rent, and a few voice notes she left saying I'd have to find another roof if I didn't pay. I sent everything and just said, "This is what's happening." My mom called me the same day, crying and apologizing. My dad didn't even speak to me at first, just asked a few questions about what exactly Grandma said and when. Then he went completely silent for hours. Later that night, he called again, furious. Turns out Grandma had been taking the money they sent her for my living expenses and keeping most of it for herself. They'd been sending her enough to cover all household bills, groceries, and a small allowance for me, but she was pocketing most of it while still making me buy my own groceries sometimes. When my dad confronted her, she told him I was lying and trying to turn them against her. But once he checked the receipts and bank statements, he saw she had been spending their money on random things that had nothing to do with me or the house. I didn't even know she was getting that much. My mom said they were sending her around $10,000 each month for everything, and I barely saw half of that go toward food or school. Now my parents are furious. They told me they're going to make her pay back every cent she took. My dad even said he's looking at care facilities because apparently they've been covering her bills and medical stuff for years, and if she's going to start blackmailing family for more, they're done supporting her. It's been awkward living here since all this happened. My parents are still overseas for now, but they're talking about flying back early to deal with this properly. Grandma's pretending she's the victim now, telling everyone I've ruined her reputation. I don't even care what they all think anymore. I'm just tired and want to finish school without having to worry about being homeless because of her. Update 1. Hello again, Reddit. Here's an update on my situation since many of you asked. So one day when I came home after school, I found that the locks were changed. My clothes were in 2 plastic bags outside the door, and she told me through the window that I wasn't welcome anymore. She said I brought shame to the family and that my parents could come fetch their spoiled brat. I just stood there crying because I didn't know what to do. I had nowhere to go, and most of my things were still inside. I called my parents, and they were shocked that she actually went through with it. My dad immediately booked me a hotel for the night and told me to stay there until he arranged something better. The next day, one of his friends picked me up and said I could stay with them until my parents came back. It was embarrassing because everyone found out quickly. A few of my relatives started messaging me saying I should have kept things private and not turned the family against Grandma. Some of them said I'll regret disrespecting her, but none of them were the ones being threatened or left on the street, so I just ignored them. A few days later, my dad told me that he spoke to the bank and found out exactly how much she had been keeping. It was way more than anyone thought. He said they were arranging to make her return part of it, either through her savings or by selling some of her things. My mom said they're flying back next week to deal with everything in person. Grandma has been calling my mom nonstop, crying and begging her not to come. She's telling everyone I exaggerated everything and that she was only teaching me a lesson. I honestly don't care anymore. I just want this to end. It's been stressful living with other people because I feel like a burden, but it's still better than being under the same roof with her. I haven't gone back to collect the rest of my things because I'm scared she'll cause a scene. My dad said he'll take care of that when he gets here. My mom told me she's heartbroken about all this because she didn't think her mother-in-law could treat me like that. I feel bad that this is causing so much drama, but at the same time, I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't going to pay rent when they already sent her everything. Some relatives are taking her side and saying I should apologize for disrespecting an elder, but honestly, I've reached a point where I don't care anymore. She could have just been honest or asked for help instead of trying to blackmail me. Update 2. Hi everyone, I wanted to give another update because things got a lot more chaotic afterwards. My parents flew back home last week, and since then, it's been nothing but drama. I didn't even plan to be around when everything went down. But my dad wanted me there when they confronted my grandma so I could see for myself how adults handle things. It didn't go the way he probably imagined. They showed up at her house early in the morning and it turned into a full-blown family war by the afternoon. My uncle, my dad's brother, came too because he claimed he needed to defend her. But honestly, I think he just didn't want my dad to have the final say. My dad had printed out all the bank statements showing how much they'd been sending every month since they moved abroad. There was no way to deny it anymore. He had proof that she'd been taking the money meant for me and still trying to squeeze more out of me under the excuse of rent. My grandma didn't admit to anything at first. She said I misunderstood her and that she only asked me to contribute because I'm grown now. But my dad found a notebook in her room where she kept track of every payment she got from my parents and how much she spent on me. The numbers didn't even come close. She'd been pocketing a huge chunk of the money. It was right there in her handwriting. When my mom saw it, she just started crying. My dad lost it after that. It all turned into this messy shouting match. Grandma kept saying she was being disrespected and abandoned, and my uncle started yelling that I should have talked to her privately instead of involving my parents. He said I embarrassed the family and made everything worse. My dad didn't even entertain that. He told him straight that what Grandma did was abuse, and that she'd been taking advantage of both me and them for months. The part that shocked me most was when Grandma tried to justify it by saying she deserved compensation for all the emotional labor of looking after a teenager. That's what she called it, emotional labor. My dad completely lost patience after that. He told her they were cutting her off financially. My parents have been paying for her electricity, maintenance, even her medical insurance for years without her contributing a cent. He told her that since she wanted to play games with money, she could start paying for her own bills from now on. It didn't end there. My dad also told her that if she didn't pay back what she took from my living expenses, she'd have to move into a care facility within a few months. That part made my uncle furious. He accused my parents of sending their mother to die alone and called me a snake for turning them against her. A few of my cousins started messaging me too, some saying they understood, others telling me I should have just stayed quiet because she's old. Now everyone's taking sides. The family WhatsApp group exploded that same night. People were sending paragraphs, blaming each other, saying awful things. My name got brought up over and over again like I was some villain who broke up a happy family. But honestly, there was no happy family to begin with. They just never wanted to deal with what Grandma was really like. For the past few days, I've been staying at a family friend's house while my parents handle everything. I'm not allowed near Grandma's place because she said she doesn't want me contaminating her home. My parents have been trying to sort out the repayment issue, but also trying to keep things calm. My dad said he's done helping anyone in the family financially. He's fed up with being treated like an ATM. What's really messing with me now is how Grandma's reacting. Instead of apologizing or trying to fix things, she started spreading lies about me around the neighborhood. She's been telling people that I'm violent, that I screamed at her that I'm mentally unstable and my parents are covering for me. I didn't even know until one of my teachers asked if everything was okay at home. Apparently, Grandma told one of her friends, who then told someone at school. It's humiliating. I feel like she's trying to ruin my reputation because she can't control me anymore. My parents keep apologizing for leaving me behind and say they're planning for me to join them right after I graduate. I'm looking forward to that. I'm done trying to fix people who don't want to change. Grandma keeps saying I'll regret what I did because family is all you have. But right now, family feels more like the reason I'm so drained. Update 3. Sorry if this is a bit long again. So when my parents came back, they started going through all of Grandma's finances properly. I didn't think there was much left to uncover, but it turns out there was a lot more going on than anyone realized. My dad had always helped her manage her pension and some small investments, so she had access to one of his older joint accounts that was originally made for emergencies when she got older. While he was checking through everything to see how much she had actually spent, he noticed random withdrawals and small transfers that didn't make sense. When he added them up, it was over $120,000 taken over the course of a few years. It was shocking because the amounts were never big enough to set off alarms individually, but they added up. When my dad confronted her about it, she started crying immediately and said she only took what she deserved because she raised him alone and that it was her money anyway. She said they owed her for all the sacrifices she made and that he was being cruel for even questioning her. It was the same kind of guilt trip she tried to use on me, just directed at him this time. This wasn't just about me anymore though. My dad was furious because she wasn't just manipulating emotionally, she'd been stealing. It became serious enough that my parents involved a lawyer to make sure there was a proper repayment plan, because technically she had committed fraud by moving money from an account that wasn't solely hers. They also decided to put her house on the market to recover some of the losses, which obviously caused another massive fight. My uncle lost it when he found out. He started calling my dad heartless, and my dad stood firm and said that if she wanted to keep living in her house, she shouldn't have been stealing from her own son and manipulating her granddaughter. That obviously didn't sit well with the rest of the family. In the middle of all this, Grandma started refusing to cooperate with the lawyer. She didn't want to sign anything, didn't want to move, and said she'd rather die in her home. That's when she started showing up at my school. The first time, I thought it was an accident. She waited outside the gate and said she just wanted to talk. The next day, she came again and tried to approach one of my teachers, saying I was lying and turning my parents against her. The school called my parents immediately, and after that, the lawyer sent her a formal no-contact warning. Security even had to remove her from the property once because she refused to leave. It was honestly humiliating, and people started asking questions I didn't want to answer. It started affecting me more than I wanted to admit. I couldn't concentrate at school properly, and I felt anxious all the time. My parents arranged therapy for me, and that's when I started realizing how much this whole situation had messed with my sense of safety. I'd trusted my grandma completely. I grew up spending holidays at her house, thinking she cared about me like a normal grandparent would. But everything she did threatening me, spreading rumors, stealing made me realize she never saw me that way. To her, I was just a way to get more money, or a way to get attention when she felt neglected. She also didn't stop spreading rumors. Some neighbors started giving me weird looks, and I later heard from a classmate that her aunt, who lives near Grandma, told her that I'd attacked my grandmother and thrown her out of her home. That one made me laugh because if anything, she's the one who threw me out. But it still hurt that people believed her without asking what really happened. Meanwhile, my parents were still in the middle of trying to sell the house, which wasn't easy because Grandma refused to leave. They had to go through legal channels to force the sale, and she tried to guilt my uncle into rescuing her by saying she'd have nowhere to go. But even he started backing away once my dad showed him the proof of the transfers. It's like he didn't want to admit it out loud, but he knew she'd crossed the line too far this time. By now, my parents have completely cut off her financial support. She's on her own, except for her pension and whatever savings she has left. I'm staying focused on finishing my exams, and after graduation, I'll be moving abroad with my parents. That's been the plan for a while, but it feels different now, like I'm not just leaving to study, but escaping something that's been weighing me down for months. I still feel guilty sometimes, even though I know logically that I didn't do anything wrong. I think it's because part of me still remembers her as the woman who used to bake with me when I was a kid and tell me stories about my dad. It's weird how someone can be two completely different people depending on what they want from you. Therapy has helped, but I still get angry when I think about how she tried to make me feel crazy for standing up for myself. Her house officially went on the market last week. The sign is up outside, and my mom said some neighbors have been gossiping non-stop. Apparently, Grandma is still telling everyone she's being evicted by her ungrateful family. I don't even care anymore. I used to think I'd be embarrassed, but now I just feel relieved that I'm almost done with all of this. Right now, I'm just counting down the days until graduation and the move. I want to start over somewhere far away from all of this drama. I don't know if I'll ever speak to my grandma again, and honestly, I don't think I want to. Final update. Hey everyone, it's been a few months since everything with my grandma blew up. I wasn't planning on posting again, but since a lot has changed, I thought I should just close this out properly. Since my parents went through with selling my grandma's house, she's now in a private nursing facility not too far from where my uncle lives. At first, he used to post on the family group chat about how heartless my parents were for putting her there, but that stopped after my mom sent screenshots showing how grandma had been lying to him too. He hasn't gone to see her once, from what I know. After everything that happened, my parents cut ties with almost everyone on that side of the family. They said they were done being the ones who always cleaned up after everyone else's messes. My dad especially seems different now, quieter, more serious. But I think he's just trying to process how his own mother could do something like that. When we were clearing out her house before the sale, we found a bunch of old boxes in a locked cupboard. My dad wanted to throw everything out, but I went through them just in case there was something important. That's when I found a folder full of old letters, receipts, and notes from years ago. From what I could piece together, my grandma had done the same kind of thing to my dad and his siblings when they were younger, pocketing money meant for school, gifts, even rent that my grandfather had already paid. She'd write to relatives asking for help, pretending she was broke or that my grandfather was withholding money. It's honestly disturbing how similar it all was to what she did to me. When I showed it to my parents, my mom just shook her head and said it made sense now, that it wasn't something new. It was just a pattern that no one had stopped before. My dad didn't say much, but I think that was the moment he stopped feeling guilty about cutting her off. I graduated from high school 2 weeks later. It felt strange because so much had happened, and I was still trying to process everything. But my parents came back for the ceremony, and afterward we flew back abroad together. I'm living with them again now. It's weird adjusting because for so long I was basically on my own, but it feels peaceful for the first time in a long while. My grandma still tries to contact us sometimes, mostly letters sent to my dad's office. They're always about how lonely she is, or how everyone's turned against her. Sometimes she'll include guilt-trippy things like how she won't be around much longer, or how she forgives us. My parents don't respond, and I've stopped reading them. And there's still gossip from extended family and neighbors back home. Apparently, she tells everyone that I ruined her life and made her homeless. But at this point, I've learned not to care. People who want to believe lies will believe them no matter what you do. The whole situation messed with my trust in people though. It's not just about what she did financially, it's that she took advantage of the fact that I looked up to her. I never expected to be treated like a tenant or a nuisance by my own grandmother. For a while, I blamed myself for everything, thinking maybe if I'd stayed quiet, the family wouldn't have fallen apart. But therapy helped me realize that she created this mess, not me. I just exposed it. I've started focusing on myself now. I got into a good college here, and I'm planning to start next semester. My parents have been more supportive than ever since all this happened. They still feel bad for leaving me behind, but I think we've all learned a lot about boundaries and about not giving people endless chances just because they're family. Sometimes I still think about her, especially when I see old photos or things she gave me. I don't hate her, but I don't feel sorry for her either. She made her choices. She wanted me to pay her rent when my parents were already paying her everything she needed. She tried to punish me for standing up for myself, and in the end, she lost control of everything she thought she could manipulate.